Hi everybody! I'm Caroline Best, Dow of Horsemanship. This is Everything Horses and More video library. And today, Lovey and I, we're going to do the last episode, the continuation of our riding basics, what every rider needs to know. And this is rule number 4 today. And it's going to be all about rider awareness. And there's 8 areas of riding for rider awareness that I'll be covering. My warm-up is going to be how we go out together at liberty. Usually it's me getting on and how we ride out together. That tells me right then and there, very quickly, it gives me a great assessment of where she is mentally. Right now I'm getting an assessment of where she is mentally. She looks really tired because last night I put she and the baby out in the big pasture, the 10 acres with the other herd. You with me? All right, up we go. Come on, Bibs. Come on. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to show you a couple of things with the saddle, and then I'm going to take it off because I don't ride with this saddle. It doesn't fit her very well anymore. I mean, in your development with your horse and in your training, especially your liberty, where they have, come on, free choice, she might decide to leave me, or she might feel like expressing herself, sowing her oats, so to speak. And if it doesn't, I don't want it to happen all the time, but I don't mind it happening occasionally, and then I'll just call her back. But I don't want it to become a pattern where every time your horse is free, they can just leave. Come here. Thank you. Yep. There's a certain way we come in and out of gates all the time, unless it's really cool. Speaking of which, so this becomes such a consistency, and that's something that you guys can practice, and it doesn't take but more than 15 minutes each time to make this really strong and solid. And this is at liberty, of course. So last week, we were on rule number 3, and that was our warm-up to riding. Once we got on and we did the check, we checked ourselves and checked our horse and did our pre-flight. It was how do we warm up? And this is a small 20 by 40, even a little bit less, 20 by 40 meter dressage arena. And we were just showing you basically going straight. I wasn't working on any figure 8 patterns, wasn't really working on any gymnastics or anything advanced. I just wanted to go over the warming up basics and how to warm your horse up. As I said, I'm a trainer, an instructor, and a student. So for me, as I'm preparing my horse for upper level riding or more advanced riding, more than just what I was showing you at the walk, even if it's just at the trot, you need to warm your horse up a certain way. So that was rule number 3 last week, and today, as I mentioned, rule number 4 is going to be rider awareness, and there's 8 specific areas. So once we get through the warm-up, and again the warm-up is to test your horse and see where they are mentally, and to prepare both of you physically so that you're able to take it into more advanced work. Now, while you're riding, where are you as a rider? So the 8 areas that I have found as a student and as a teacher that just aren't taught. I mean, they're thrown in here and there. So to me, these are the ABCs, and they need to be part of your warm-up and your warm-up continued. So the first one would be balancing, relaxation, and poise. The second would be where's your focus. There's a lot more to it than you think often, so that's just bringing that awareness to where it needs to be. Go through correct hand position, that's number 3. But for the most part, when you're riding the movement, you need to be in a specific position overall, one position overall. The 4th is your correct upper body position. The 5th is going to be, the 7th is going to be your correct foot position, which is why I want to ride in the saddle first. And the 8th is going to be the most complicated, and that is contact and good girl. What you doing? What are your ears? What? Oh my! What's going on? You can express yourself, but I don't want to get bit. All right. So if she was colicky, you definitely couldn't touch her belly. She would nah, what? Horses will cow kick you. What's up, sissy? Really important for me to show you guys. Yep. So I will not be getting up via the stirrup because I don't want to pull on a saddle that doesn't fit her well. And this is going to be the correct position of where you're going to be sitting in the saddle. And the saddle is over the middle of her wither, which is important, so that we have plenty of room under the gullet. So this isn't what's tight on gullet. The gullet is not tight on Lovey. What's tight is the bridging here. The saddle's not wide enough for her. I'm going to show you, if the camera wants to capture how you get on. Come on over here real quick. You always put your toe facing forward when you get on. And this is one of the videos I showed recently with mounting, both bareback and in a saddle. You never want to get on. Put your toe forward. Put most of your weight, about 75%, in my left hand, on her wither, on her neck. This is the strongest part right here. Let her handle your weight, and then you're just going to balance yourself with your other hand. So 1, 2, 3. So this would be rider position and leg position. So right now, the camera wants to come on the right side of me, and you want to get a full view. So with centered riding principles, which I follow, and to keep yourself in the correct rider position so that you're back on your balance point, you got it? You got your itch? You're going to want a straight line from your... You're good. I'm right here. They are leaves. Yep. Face it. Good girl. You handled that well. When you have a relationship like this and your horse wants to protect you, you guys, she was very worried. You saw her looking and tightening, but she didn't want to hurt me. But she gave me plenty of seconds to figure it out and do something about it. And I knew the best thing to do in any situation that is manageable, which means you don't have to get down, to stay safe, is to turn your horse towards what they're afraid of. And as soon as I did, she understood that it was just leaves, and she relaxed immediately. So I put all of the things I keep teaching you guys about into practice right there. And your horse is going to startle. I say that all the time. There's going to be tons of situations where your horse is not completely confident, especially a horse like Lovey, because she doesn't have a complete foundation. I'll get Lovey to go around in a circle right now. That she doesn't seem too bothered by the saddle. And who's to say it's not dry skin right now? A little bit. The fact that she can lower her head tells me that the saddle's not bothering her. She can open up her top line. But what I want you guys to see is, so pay attention to how you're riding in your warm-up before you start adding bigger movement or more complexities to your warm-up or your ride or your training or schooling. Where are you in your body? And when you look at the professional riders, whether they're reiners or they're dressage, they don't ride like this. Okay? They ride with a bend. Lots of mobility and flexibility in their body. And they ride with their core. So rider position, we've got the straight line to line ourselves up with, to check ourselves. Where are we when we're riding? Are we moving with the horse? Where is our leg? Where is our foot? Our foot should be parallel, horizontal with the ground. Now, I'm not getting into the rising trot or posting trot in this video, but I'm against it. As a trainer, horse trainer, there's a time for it. But as a student and an instructor, there is no reason why you all need to learn it. You're being taught the rising trot so that you can avoid riding really tight, bouncy horses that are not developed properly. And you're also being taught the rising trot because your instructor doesn't know how to teach you how to sit the movement, and they don't know how to train the horse to be able to give you the proper movement. Both things require time and knowledge, you guys. And that's why you all are doing these rising trots, and most of the time you're slamming down on these horses. Your stirrups are too short or too long. So again, the correct leg position, you have that. It's a longer leg, it's a relaxed leg. My foot is relaxed, my toe is facing forward. My knee is very gently turned in. This takes time. When I started learning dressage correctly, I had to retrain my muscles. It took a long time to retrain my muscles. I had to stretch them, especially when I became a working equitation instructor back in 2012. And this saddle with my big white quarter horse mare, who's very broad, I had to literally stretch out my pelvis and my legs. You have to focus on everything. If you take the time, you guys, to break these pieces down and go over them every time you ride, before you know it, it becomes second nature. And before you know it, you don't even have to check it anymore. You're just doing it every time you ride because it becomes your new normal, your new comfort. And when you don't do it, it feels horrible. And it affects your riding. It affects the way your horse is able to move. So I pretty much wrapped up your foot position, your leg position, your upper body position, where to be in your upper body, how to ride, how to use your seat to control the horse and to speak to the horse, as well as your focus, so that your hands and your legs are minimal, quiet aids, and you really only need to use those, especially your hands, the way I develop horses, to rebalance your horse. That's the history of the bit. Purpose was only to rebalance the horse. It was never to train the horse or control the horse. When you look up classical dressage, European dressage, the great masters, the bit was never introduced until the late stages of the horse's development, the 6th year out of 8. It's just to rebalance the horse. Horse was already strong and balanced and supple, was doing all your leaps and airs, your lavage, your piaffe, your passage, without a bit, without a rider. So it's really become bastardized and abused over centuries because people are looking for shortcuts, quick fixes, and the horse always gets compromised. So I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to develop your horse on the ground first, get this relationship, get this oneness, this in sync, this synchronicity, this energetic alignment, this connection. All right, so I'm going to do just a walk off with the saddle. Let's use my seat, not my leg. Come, little cluck. Where is my eye? Where are my hands? Right above her withers. Where are my fingers? I prefer all fingers around the reins because I like to ride as light as my pinky. So when you get really good at this, you're able to do things like look down, but not throw your body forward like I just did. Because you get so used to your seat being in its correct position, it becomes, like I said, the new normal and the new comfortable. And anything other than that feels wrong. The more you practice this, the better it becomes, and I cannot emphasize the biggest rewards of all of this is that magical connection that you maintain all the time, and safety. Feeling and being safe with your horse. Even if there's something that scares her so much that she wants to bolt, she's going to give you those few seconds to check in with you. I really want to take care of you. I really want to take care of you, but I can't stand it anymore. I'm about to just come apart. And you have that opportunity to get off. You can't control everything, and your horses, the more experience they have with the unexpected, the easier it becomes for them to just, well, whatever, just another day, another thing. I know, I can't not ride you. All right, so let's take a look at this piece of paper. Her favorite noise. Well, this is very good. All righty. So we already went over balancing, relaxation, and poise in the body, the rider's body during movement. And I'll show that to you again when I get into the dressage arena. And I'll show you my correct focal point, so you'll pay attention to what I look like. You're going to see my correct hand position, including my fingers and why. And the tops of your thumbs are always facing, so you don't want to be riding like this. You want to be riding more here, and I like to be as light as my pinky. Plus, it also helps with the leverage for the horse. And your rein length are going to change a lot, often throughout that one session. So each day they can change, and they should, because you've got to allow the horse to move or find the movement that is best for them at that moment and eventually correct. So a lot of times these young horses or horses that you're restarting have been traveling horribly. They're hollow, they're tight, they don't know how to relax into a movement for various reasons, mentally and physically. Whether you get in the way and they're upset of the saddle not fitting, or the rider not being a good rider, or the hands not being soft hands, or the horse has been lunged incorrectly. So that's why I do so much work, like through my Mastery membership, teaching you guys how to develop these horses on the ground. So that by the time you take, like at least 75% of your riding is there, even though you haven't ridden them yet. So that by the time you get on your horse, you've got the connection, you've got the energy and mind and soul working together. So once that's there, you still need to allow the horse to stretch during your warm-up. You still need to allow the horse to find the movement, but you've got to learn the movement. How about that? How fair is it of you to then try to train your horse or ride your horse when you don't know what to look for? You don't know what it feels like. So just put that in the back of your mind. Until then, you're going to be riding the wrong thing. That's why I don't train it under saddle. I develop the horse at least to be ahead of the game on the ground so that I can still start the riding within the first month, but my riding will be behind the 8 ball. They're going to be learning and developing a lot more through my lunging styles, and we're just going to be coming up behind that, meaning if they're trotting, different transitions with collection and balance and carriage on the lunge, I'm not going to ride that right away. I'll be working on the walk transitions and the walk transitions into the trot and back down into the walk. So 99% of us are constantly being taught to force the horse up into a frame. A frame right here? What do you mean? Keep that horse. Get that nose tucked underneath. Get that horse to break at the pole. Kick the horse. Kick the horse. Go. Push them into contact. Push them into contact. No. The horse should be developed naturally without the rider. Just look at the common sense of what I teach. It goes against everything that your dressage instructor might be teaching you, telling you, but not teaching you, telling you, but not teaching you. Well, of course I know that the engine is the hind end of the horse, and that we need impulsion and we need power from the hind end, and that's where true collection comes from. Of course I know that. Then why are your students in their horse's mouth all the time? And why are the horses hollowed out and have concave marks in their neck development? Why do they have back issues? Why are they short-strided? Why are they not tracking or over-tracking? Why are they hollowing out when they get faster? I mean, this is all about you guys. But how can I even teach you the points of rider awareness, where to be when you're warming up and in all of your movement? How can I remind you of that if your horse isn't developed fully? So it's just something to think about, and going back to the common sense of my method. And it always goes back to the history, the great masters that are no longer here. But you can visit them in books, and you can visit their apprentices. If you can't physically go visit them, their own apprentices have taken the method. They studied with those great masters for years. They've passed down the work, either in books or videos, or their own personal teaching. Look how light we are. See how light we are? So this is the only time I'll ask for a frame. and then that would be my backup. Nope, don't hollow out. I can feel your shoulders tighten. Come, a little more energy. Good girl. I'll just use half the arena. I'll stay in here. It's just easier. When you're bareback, you want to have the ability to swing your leg forward for just a nanosecond to push yourself back on your balance point. Good girl. And watch me. Where's my body? Where's my eye? I'm looking at letter B, straight across, and we're going straight to letter B. I have semi-casual rein contact, meaning they're not really loose, but they're not really tight. Good girl. Isn't that cool, you guys? They know what's going on. They know where your eye is all the time. So as you guys know by now, I don't believe in tie downs or martingales or draw reins. Your horse will find this during my lunging on the ground so that when you go to ride it, it's easy for your horse to want to find that freedom in their movement again. But the point is you don't want to be tight. You don't want to be controlling that. You've got to develop your horse to be able to be in self-carriage, which means they carry themselves. Pay attention to your horse and let them tell you about everything, you guys. You don't always have the answer, all right? You may not always have the answer, but it's information and you can find the answer. You can always email me. Well, that was a lot more than we bargained for. We got lots of other things included in today. The yawn is excellent though. So the yawn means she's really processed and digested everything. So that's actually icing on the cake. So all those releasing and pawing, and now she's yawning. So that's really, really good. And I do look for that in her. We do a lot of yawns when we're done with our rides. So that tells me she's feeling pretty good. Good girl, but you could blow this horse. She's so super talented, you guys. You could blow this horse and ruin her. Well, she already was once, but wow. Couldn't imagine at her age. All right, well, thank you. May you always be one with your horse. That was a lot of information. We're definitely going to have several series or parts of this, continuations to break it down. And I look forward to your comments. Thank you.